But what we would definitely do is repeal all these laws. We want to go back to the bare bones Constitution. That's definitely what we've worked for. But I believe in holistic medicine, and I worked in the nursing field for 10 years, so I have first-hand experience of how this stuff affects people. They're literally killing people in the hospitals with this medicine.
They are, and anytime you go get radiation treatment for cancer, you're killing yourself. They're killing you. They're killing you. And by the way, hemp cures cancer, and that's been proven and tested by Phoenix Tears. You can go to the link, look it up on the Google, Phoenix Tears. I had him on my show. He's in exile somewhere out of Canada because he was curing people with cancer.
Well, I actually personally know a doctor from Rochester, New York, who used a drug called 714X. It wasn't a drug; it was a holistic, product out of Canada, and he was importing it to the United States. His name is Charles Pixley. Your audience can Google his story. Anyway, they threw him in jail because he was curing people with cancer that the hospitals would send home who died. And so, yeah, I totally, I know that's true. That stuff happens all the time.
So, Ron Paul has come out and said this is the real crime, putting people in jail for marijuana, putting people in jail because they prefer to, take this for nausea rather than all this other stuff that they're got a 200,000% markup on. That's something like Luvox. And would you make this? I wrote a novel 40 years ago that'll be coming out next year. I'm rewriting it, and it's about the United States in the future when a president has come in and officers have come in and abolished all laws against victimless crimes and restored the Constitution and the control of the money to a system based on labor, not who owns the gold, not who owns who prints the money, but who works, who produces.
I like the sound of that.
It's called the Solomon series, and it'll be coming out. Actually, it'll be the third book into the Lucifer legends.
Lucifer legend, that's what you call it. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to check into that.
Yeah, I've got the screenplay for a movie about Lucifer in the 21st century. He rides a Harley, by the way.
I wouldn't doubt that at all. The angel, the Bible says the angel, Lucifer comes as an angel of light.
Yeah, in my book, Lucifer is the co-captain to the Earth ship Heaven, which is built by the Atlanteans to withstand a celestial conjunction. You would call it the passing of Planet X. And Lucifer, the captain, Yahweh, goes crazy after his wife's killed. He blames it on the people, and he tries to enslave the people. Lucifer opposes him, and he gets kicked out of heaven into the hell that's earth. So I've got pretty much a 2,000-year history that I've written over the last 40 years. Ought to make it fairly interesting.
Yeah, it definitely sounds interesting. I think some people might, disagree with Lucifer being God, but, to be truthful, the Lord says that He will bring evil upon you. Now, let me clarify something. I never said He was God in my book, which is fiction, science fiction. I write science fiction. Started 40 years ago as a science fiction. Unfortunately, or fortunately, all the things that I imagined and predicted 40 years ago are happening today. That's pretty cool, man, to be able to do something like that.
And Ron Paul certainly come out for the legalization of hemp. Anytime somebody can come up to you and say, "Hey, boy, what do you got in your pocket?" Whoa, that looks like, that might be cocaine, that might be heroin, that might be, Yeah, boy, you're going to go to jail. Whoo. Then you are in a police state, folks. You know, and I wrote novels about the abolishing all laws against victimless crimes. So whatever you want to do between two people, that's your business. Whatever you do in your bedroom between two people or three people or four people, that's your business. That's your privacy. And we don't need the government's in it. Are you willing to your party as the founder of your party? You willing to it's a giant step, but Ron Paul has endorsed this. Gary Johnson has endorsed this, governor of New Mexico.
Well, my feeling is that we should make the drugs legal and tax them, and the only people that should go to jail are violent criminals, not somebody smoking marijuana.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right. You want to kill yourself on heroin? I would rather you just go over in that corner and kill yourself with heroin than try to put you in jail and support you at the tune of $50,000 a year.
Right. Now, there's a difference. If a heroin user starts robbing banks to support his habit, obviously he needs to go to jail.
Then he is, if he could go to the drugstore and get his heroin. People have said, Clay, isn't marijuana a gateway drug? And my answer is absolutely, if you got to go to a drug dealer to buy it. If you could go to your pharmacy and get, half a gram of heroin, and you go home, you do the whole thing, and you die, well, they'll pick your body up tomorrow.
Yeah, well, if you go to a lot of these smoke shops, they have other drugs out there that are way more powerful than marijuana that you can get legally. And you never hear anything about them, and I believe it's because the power of hemp, goes against the oil companies, and there's so much more you can do with hemp than you can do with any of these other drugs.
Yes, it's the plant of, as far as I'm concerned, it's the plant of renown, and I do have the THC Ministries of Arizona Church.
Oh, really? Interesting.
But this what else would you change? I mean, this whole new the war on terror. Let's talk about that for a moment.
Well, the true terrorists, if anybody studies history of the world, the big government, they've killed more people in this world than any so-called Al-Qaeda terrorist, and your chances of dying by an Al-Qaeda terrorist, you have a greater chance of dying by getting stung by a bee than you do with some terrorist.
The way I put it in my film True Face of FEMA was you got about as much chance of getting killed by a terrorist as you do getting eaten by a great white in Phoenix.
Absolutely. So as far as terrorism goes, it's big government, and, we need to cut down on the size of the government. And believe me, if they ever get their way and they get this one world government, that's going to be the biggest terrorist ever. All you got to do is read George Orwell's book, 1984, or any of those books like that. They'll tell you. Big government is the true terrorist.
They are, and I've said the war on terror is a war against anyone, anywhere that doesn't want to go along with one world government of the banksters, by the banksters, and for the banksters. Now, takes us back to the money supplier. What is your party's platform? And do you have a platform written? Is that available on your website?
We are working on a platform. It's a how would I say? It's an ever changing, because we're such a new party that we're always working to improve the platform, but we have a basic platform. Yeah, you can find that on our website.
Okay. What about money? What about constitutional money? Now, I'm real skeptical of gold. Remember, Roosevelt made you turn in your gold. You had to go to the bank and turn in your gold under threat of jail.
Right, yeah.
$16. The bank gave you $16 on it. A month later, the price of gold was $32. Now it's about $1,500. And who's got all the gold? The only thing the price of gold, buying gold, is doing is making the people that bought it for $32 an ounce, and they've been selling it back to you and buying it back and selling it back and buying it back and selling it back. So what's your answer on the monetary policy as a party?
Well, I'm a 10th Amendment believer, and I believe that every state should have their own state bank and print their own money and back it by their own commodities in their own state.
And use that money to pay people for their labor in producing goods like, let's say solar units, and now one of my plans here, looking for answers, I came up with the idea of Liberty Villages, which is applicable to every small town or big town, or one block in a big town. Grow your own food, generate your own energy, sell the energy back to the power companies, who can sell it to your neighbor next door if they don't want to go to the expense or the efforts to build a solar unit or a wind generator. And don't pay any attention to the neighborhood associations. Take advantage of what God gave us. Turn the backyards into a garden. Turn the roof into a solar panel, and become self-sufficient. How about that for a plan?
Well, that's something we're working on as an organization. A sustainable, basically like a sustainable village where freedom thinkers can come, working in a co-op type garden. I don't believe in communism, but I believe in cooperation.
In my plan, Liberty Villages would all be linked by internet. We've got colleges and grade schools available by internet, from the Little Red Schoolhouse, Timothy Bible College, and we've got access to all these people that produce solar units. We've got people, solar units. We see, what's the main ingredient in that? Oh yeah, I think it's sand, isn't it? I mean, that's not too expensive, is it?
Right.
Yeah. And Obama's idea of greening America is to sell the top of that mountain over there to a foreign corporation who will bring in windmills from China, put it on top of that mountain, kill a few eagles, and pipe the power back down to the power company, who will be glad to sell it to you at a little bit increased rate. Why not power our own homes and sell the excess to our power companies so they can take care of our neighbors?
Well, you could definitely do that. It's just a matter of getting it organized and doing it. We have all the resources available. It's just, getting enough minds together to do it, to agree on a platform, which, definitely what's missing in the equation is organizing it. And, I think your ideas are awesome.
Well, I asked myself, how did people live 10,000 years ago? And Richard Kelly Hoskins, he said that the foundation of every civilization is the self-sufficient family farm. And every time a communist regime takes over a country, whether it's South Africa, whether it's Germany, whether it's Russia, they go after three classes of people in order. They go after the farmers first, because they don't want you being able to feed yourself. They go after the intelligentsia second, and third, they go after the veterans and the police officer that are still loyal to the old regime. That would be any of my fellow veterans out there that still recall their oath to the Constitution. There was no expiration date, and we've been targeted. Homeland Security, which is just the KGB under a new name, DHS. It's targeting the veterans. It's targeting the intelligentsia. It doesn't want, and they've already paid for the concentration camps. Why do you think? Why do people say it can't happen here?
Well, it can and it will happen, and it's going to happen. I believe that. It's just a matter of time, and when it does start to happen, you probably won't hear anything about it unless it's a real high-profile person missing. And who knows? I don't doubt that they've already started doing it. So, those camps have been there for a long time. I've seen them myself. I believe that, guys like you and me were definitely on their list. We've known about Iron Mountain and their ability to listen on conversation for years. So,
yeah, I've got two rules for living, especially since my accident. Every phone I use is tapped, and everybody in the four-wheeler is trying to kill me.
Oh, of course, I agree. I have stories about, getting phone calls, and, they tell me they know who I am. They're watching me. So, but you know what? I don't have fear. I know that I need to do what I'm doing, and if I don't do it, the God's going to hold this against me, because this message I have, I believe, is from the good Lord. Freedom, liberty, justice, and truth.
Well, I believe that too, and the trick we've got, the whole thing with Liberty Village, we're talking about cooperative effort here, folks. We're not talking about communism. It ain't a commune, and it goddamn sure ain't a compound any more than Waco was a compound. I saw the 50 caliber bullet holes in the ceiling of a living room filled with 17 little children. I saw that. Now, that's what got me motivated. I swore I would never sit back and watch something like that happen again in America. And it will happen again in America. They are planning this. And they are going, a lot of them are going after the Christians. This is, we got three religions are vying for supremacy in the New World Order.
Absolutely. Have you heard about a law? It's called the Noahide Law.
Yes, that's the Jewish laws. That's part of it's taken right out of the Talmud, and they slipped that through in Supreme Court some time ago.
Yeah, George Bush. I believe it was George Bush that signed that. I wrote about that on the blog. So if anybody wants to check out the details of that, they can just check out the blog. But it's real. There are laws that are on American books. They're not constitutional laws. So under our platform, those things would be null and void. So it's really pretty simple. Thomas Jefferson was a brilliant man. I mean, that was he was the Einstein of our day, and what he designed for us and what he gave to us in this Constitution, what Adams and all of them put together, Franklin put together here, is something that we haven't had as a human race for over 6,000 years. It is so valuable, that it's like I said, I took an oath to defend it. It puts the chains on the government, and our Bill of Rights sets the people free. They've been attacking it since we did it. For 200 years, it's been under assault by the bankers. Now, you can go back, if you want to go back, maybe we're still fighting the Neanderthal like we did, a million years ago. I don't know. Maybe David Icke is right. Maybe they're reptilians. Maybe they've evolved underground for a few million years, and maybe that's who we're having to deal with. But you can tell. Is it good for us? Is it good for you and your children? Then it should be good for your neighbors, whatever religion, whatever color they are. The whole racist thing is to try to paint us as enemies when we're pointing out there's a few criminals that happen to be Jewish, there's a few criminals that happen to be black, and there's a hell of a lot of criminals that happen to be white. So what? If they hurt somebody else and they're not being productive, then they're a problem that you have to deal with. That's all. Absolutely.
It doesn't matter what color they are. It doesn't matter what religion is. Now, if as far as religion is concerned, I think the Bible and gave us some direction. The Constitution gave us more direction and codified it to a certain amount. And that's all we got to do is get back to that. That they defeated the New World Order of their day 200 years ago with this document, and the people standing behind it. I think they could do, and we can do the same thing today. I applaud what you're doing. I applaud the party here, and you know, what they've tried to do to me is financial. I'm blocked in libraries. A lot of people can't hear their show. They don't want you to hear their show. They don't want to hear people like you. They don't want any solutions out there. And there's plenty of solutions, folks. They're going to make it as difficult for you as they can. I come up with the idea of planting your garden in your backyard, just like my grandmother did 50 years ago. And suddenly we got a new law that the FDA has got to come out and inspect your tomatoes.
Right, yeah. Well, you know, life is like an apocalypse every day. So, you know, whatever these New World Order operatives try to do, whatever, it doesn't matter. You know, as long as we're doing the right thing, you know, they can kill us. That's all they can do, right? They can kill us, they can imprison us, but they can't make us obey.
That's right. You can't make me a slave. It just won't happen. It just won't happen. But I'll tell you what. You know, you talk about a newspaper. I've had a newspaper for 20 years. It's called Free American. It's up online now. It's better online than it was in hard copy. When it was in Barnes and Noble, when it was in Books A Million, it was in there until they tried to take me out. Now, we don't have to go back and reinvent the wheel. We don't have to come up with a new system. You know, if you're anti-New World Order, then you're pro-Constitution, and the plan is there. It's there. You know, that's the honest money. Everything's there. The states' rights. That's the movement. We have to move away from the centralization, from the regionalization. We got to get back to self-rule and our own independence. We've got to be self-reliant. We got to work together. It's got to be a cooperative effort, not a communist effort. If communism was what it was supposed to be, I'd be all for it. I'd be all for it, but it's not. It's ruled by the elite in another form.
Yeah, they started it. I mean, you just got to read their white papers to find that out. But you know, I think you know what you're doing here is an excellent job. I tell you, I applaud you. And I wish I'd have known about you a long time ago. I just happened to stumble upon you the other day, and I'm glad I did because, you know, everything you're saying here, I definitely agree with. So,
well,
pretty cool.
I started the militia, and you might say my role in the militia was the information officer. And nothing wrong with what I did in starting the militia. I did it in the governor's office. I'll do it again in the governor's office. I'm supporting the sheriffs because they're our elected officials. That's true democracy. We don't live in a democracy, folks. We live in a republic. And as Benjamin Franklin said, when asked, what form of government have you wrought from us, Mr. Franklin, he said, a constitutional republic, if you can keep it. Now, Daniel, I've got links on my website for the Free American. I will trade links with you and your sites for you link to my site, you link to my show. This show is available. You can download it from Bog TV as a MP3 and
sure. Pass
it around. You let people know we can do this, and you know, you've got an information officer available right now. All you have to, I've got books. My books, Mystery Babylon, has the whole history of the Rothschild, has the history of the Bible, and it's got all the tactics they have used against me, right down to shooting people that tried to help me, that we were supposed to work together. It's got the whole story in here in Mystery Babylon. I've got PDFs available for $20. You put them on your site, you take 10, you send me 10, and people get to read the history of the Rothschilds, understand what we're fighting here. We've got to like to work together. And what's happened is, in the past, I've given people the platform to talk on, to get their stories told, and then somebody who was against them was suddenly against me because I gave everybody the right to, you know, we all got information. You make up your mind. Don't believe anything I tell you. listen to everything, check it out for yourself, and see who's right, who's wrong here.
Absolutely. Like my favorite quote, what Einstein said, condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance. There's a lot of ignorant people out there.
Put that in an email to me. I'll put that right up on the website. That's really a good quote, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. Definitely.
And let me do one thing here, and then we'll sign off here. We're recording this. This will go up on YouTube and a few other things. But I got a little commercial here, and this is available too, folks. This is available too up on my website.
He took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. By some, he's been called controversial.
I'll keep my freedom, I'll keep my guns, try to keep my money and my religion too.
Now, keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clay Douglas show?
My message to those guys, if they're listening this morning, is go get a cup of coffee. Maybe you'll learn something.
We both took the same oath, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that.
I'm gonna keep my big VA, keep my friends the same, keep the government out of my business, and y'all can keep the change.
He is the free American, Clay Douglas.
We know what we need. We know who to blame.
Catch the Free American Hour, weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
I'll keep the USA and y'all can keep the change.
For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
Call recording has been completed.
All right. Daniel, thanks for being on with me again.
Hey, man. That was a pleasure. Definitely.
And, folks, we're out of here and download it. God bless. FreeAmerican.com. Order a book. Send one to your friends. Make a donation. We need the support. See you, Daniel.
Somebody blew up a building, somebody stole a car, somebody got away, somebody didn't get too far, yeah, they didn't get too far. Grandpappy told my pappy back in my day,